ITP, I brought some books that I like. You may really hate them, but I'm kind of a dork. So if you want to pass these around, they're all on competency. It's like case law and stuff. You want to like peruse it and maybe look at that if you're super interested. Huh? That's for later.
Oh,
Okay. So hold on, girl. All right. Okay. All right, so we're going to talk about not guilty by reason of insanity. Again, keep in mind that you have to be competent to plead NGI because it is one of the 4 pleas. Now, there's a big misconception that, you know, a bunch of people get NGIs and it's just so they can get out of the whatever charges or whatever. What is the reality? It's not that easy to do. Hardly any that plea NGI get the NGI. And I think it's all perception. I was like, oh man, there's so many people that are getting NGI. And then I had to step back and say, well, it's because you have them all on your caseload. You know, it's perception. So, not that many people get NGI. Also, a big misconception is that you have, like, if you qualify for NGI, you have to take an NGI. It's a voluntary plea. Even if you qualify for NGI based on the criteria and your evaluations, you don't have to take the NGI. So you can actually plead to probation instead of the NGI, even if you qualify for NGI. So people have choices. Erica.
We kind of have an interesting case right now. We have a murder, and he meets criteria for an NGI, but he also has a good standard ground defense.
Oh,
So he's trying.
interesting.
He just become confident, and now he's trying to figure out what route he wants to go. I know it's really interesting.
Wow,
He was clearly
that's a
insane at
tough.
the time.
That's a tough choice.
He'll work out with his lawyer, but I thought that was really
Who's his lawyer? Holly?
Go to lawyer.
Oh,
He
okay.
does the proofs.
Oh, wow, that is.
Yeah.
All right. So, can you describe how he meets the NGI?
The report's not done yet. but
Okay.
He said that he would be the NGI.
What, do you know the circumstance? Can you tell us a little bit? A little glimpse? Or do you know?
Not
Okay, that's fine.
it.
Not a minute. So, but there's really specific criteria for meeting the NGI. It's not that easy to meet, even though I've seen folks that have NGIs, and I'm like, they just, I don't know if they met it, you know, but it's really the evaluator's responsibility to determine if they met that criteria. So, forensic evaluators, community experts, and forensic evaluators do NGI evaluations. I've seen some where they actually do the competency evaluation, and they kind of give a little glimpse on their taste for NGI at the time of the crime. They will put that in the report if they feel that that was valid. So in Florida, a person is considered to be insane at the time of the crime when they had a mental infirmity, disease, or defect. And this is the standard, the statute language. And because of that, they didn't know what they were doing and its consequences, or although they knew what they were doing and its consequences, they didn't know it was wrong. So not only do you have to have the diagnosis, yes.
So is this similar to ITP, that them being on some kind of substance at the time of whatever happened isn't like a condition or something? So if they were
Oh,
high,
yeah, they can't, yeah. And you know, so yeah, it can't be based on substance use. It can't.
Can't.
It can't.
So it has to be.
Yeah, they have to have a mental infirmity, disease or defect. And it's, yeah, it's, I think the language is a little vague, and you know what happens with attorneys when they use vague language. Like it could be interpreted. I've seen all kinds of things. But, so they have to have the diagnosis. It's got to be a mental illness. And because of that mental illness, and this is at the time of the crime. So keep in mind your ITP is here and now, and your NGI is at the time of the crime. You see the difference? So a person could be ITP, and that's here and now. It means right in front of me, they are not able to, they're really ill and not able to proceed with their case. Now, you can have someone in front of you and they're very stable, but when the crime allegedly happened, they were very unstable, and they can be like this. Does that make sense? A little bit different, actually a lot different. Now, just because you have a mental illness and you are involved with the crime does not mean that you're eligible for NGI. So say, yes.
Why would someone choose not to plead?
Oh, that is a great question. Why would someone not choose to plead NGI? Stigma. They don't want to be going to Meridian forever. Because that lobby, I tell you.
Nothing wrong with me.
Yeah, there ain't nothing wrong with me. Why would I get an NGI? Yeah. Seen that.
Open-ended.
Huh?
Can be open-ended.
It's open-ended. So the NGI, there's no statutory limit. So it doesn't end in 5 years. It ends when the judge says it ends. So there's that. Any other reasons? Huh? Maybe they believe they're not guilty and they want to take it to trial.
Or maybe after the crime happened, they actually had a conference about whatever happened and feel like maybe they would like to do probation.
Maybe they would like to do probation. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
If they were in
Right.
time, in reality at the time, and afterwards.
Yeah. Maybe they know they'll get time served and for, maybe it's a smaller crime. Yeah, why have this thing that, over me? So those are actually very common reasons, all those reasons. All right, even though sometimes, we know it's in the best interest of the client, they don't choose it, I'm like, man, because we know they'll be in jail again. But, so let me give you, let's do a good example. Say I had schizophrenia, I've had it for a long time, and I was driving down I-75 and Florida Highway Patrol. Oh, do you have a
Question. So, do you have a sense of what percentage of the antisocial personality disorder pleads out the NGI?
That is a great question. And yeah, I struggle with that because it's kind of the inconsistency of evaluators too. Like, who's gonna, and we get some that are, it's based on antisocial more than any other, so, and we struggle with those cases.
Because the antisocial personality disorder may be engaged in saying, I'm just going to game this thing right out, and they might get a little confused thinking the NGI is sort of part of the game here, and they might get the two ITP and NGI a little bit, the explanation might get a little confusing to them. They might trigger the wrong option, not realizing the NGI is forever.
It's indefinite.
And ITP's got the 5-year cap.
Well, interestingly enough, we had a guy here in Circuit 8 that years after going to state hospital, coming back, being on conditional release, he raised his hand in court and said, I am not ill. I have been pretending all this time, and I have this NGI, and it was that reason because it finally hit him. This thing is indefinite. We're like, what? But, yeah, so it happens. All right, so case scenario, I'm driving down, I have schizophrenia, I'm driving down 75, and Florida Highway Patrol, they put on their lights, and I freak out like kind of everybody, normal people do. And I pull over, and, I roll my window down, and what do they say? Registration license, whatever. Okay. And I pull out a gun, and I shoot the Florida Highway Patrol. Could I plead to an NGI?
Yeah.
Yeah? Would I get an NGI?
Yeah, because it wasn't premeditated.
Would I get NGI?
I don't know. They don't evaluate.
What's the college answer? It depends. It does. Yeah? It depends on what.
What was happening at the time of the crime?
Well, what's happening with what? In
So
my
for me, it may
mind.
not have been wrong, I might have been in fear like he was going to kill me.
Right. Maybe I just don't like law officers, the law.
Or maybe something's happening with you.
I don't think I would get.
No? If I just don't like law enforcement and I shoot him, I have schizophrenia, will that work? No? Okay. What might work? See how
If they
creative.
were in fear of their life.
No? Nope. Not even that.
They believe the officer was
An alien.
The officer was yelling at you and you thought he was threatening you.
Yeah, so say I was driving down the road because aliens invaded my apartment, even after I put like aluminum foil all over it. They were still after me because I had a chip in my head that they implanted when I was 5 years old, and I know now they're about ready to get it because they need that chip to go back to their planet and save everybody, therefore blowing up the earth, and I have to do this. And this, this officer is part of the alien party. I know it because when I look in his eyes, they have that look with their eyes. And so it is my duty to save the earth to shoot the alien. Would that work? Probably. So it depends on what they're thinking, and when the evaluators evaluate people, they need to find out all these things, including if I had schizophrenia, what type of delusional systems did I have per history, and what did I have at the time. So it's important to know that just because, so if you have a mental illness, a diagnosis, you have a crime, does not exactly equal an NGI because of these reasons. Okay. We're going to quickly go over the activities. So now, some don't start off in the jail. I've had a couple cases where they were already in the community, they may have bonded out or whatever. So not necessarily in the jail. Community experts, there's a hearing for NGI. They get the NGI or they don't get the NGI. They're committed to state hospital, or they are conditional released. They don't have to go to state hospital. Or there's actually a thing called unconditional release. That means like the court lets them go. It's just like, don't do it again. Maybe report to us every once in a while. Or actually no conditions. Yeah, no conditions. I had like 2 cases. No, unconditional release. There's admission to state hospitals. They may be stepped down to civil. Assess, treat, discharge, court notified, hearing transport. Now, what we want to try to avoid in the NGIs typically stay at the state hospital much longer than the ITPs because it is about getting them stable versus incompetent to proceed, it's about getting incompetent. So we want folks to be let out right from state hospital and not go back to the jail. We still see some areas that send them back to the jail, unfortunately, but we want to get them right out from the hospital. They have a hearing. They're conditional released. The relinquish of jurisdiction. That means that the court lets them go from their conditional release. It's open-ended. There's no time limit. It depends on the court, the judge, the state attorney. It depends on a lot of things. I think sometimes, too, they don't pay attention or consider getting them off conditional release. They kind of just forget until someone brings it up. So, all right, so let's go over state hospitals. State mental health treatment facilities, this is a list of them. We're going to go over all of them. We have